It was and continues to be the biggest story in the history of television news. The major broadcast networks gave it more continuous hours than they did the Kennedy assassination 38 years ago. The all-news cable networks have been showing so many words and pictures that the screen seems about to burst. Even networks that don't normally carry news, like ESPN, have carried it. We will cover the coverage after the latest news of it.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kieran Chetry with Fox News, continuing coverage of America United. The White House says it's not buying the Taliban's claims that it can't find Osama bin Laden. Secretary of State Colin Powell is promising to deliver hard evidence that bin Laden was behind the terror attacks. Also, the Gulf Arab states are pledging to support efforts to bring those responsible for last week's attacks to justice. The six-member council condemned any attempt to link Islam with what it calls these heinous terrorist acts. Also, the number of people believed to be missing at the World Trade Center is now up to 6,453. Meantime, rescue workers have uncovered a 10-foot piece of jetliner fuselage amid the debris. President Bush also ordering all flags to be flown at full staff. He raised the one at Camp David earlier today. There were plenty of flags flying at Yankee Stadium today. Thousands gathered for an emotional tribute to the World Trade Center victims. Actor James Earl Jones was the first to speak.
Today, we offer a prayer for America. 12 days ago, New York City suffered the most devastating act of terrorism in human history.
On September 11th, New York City suffered the darkest day in our history. It's now up to us to make it its finest hour.
We proclaimed that evil and death would not have the final say.
And James Earl Jones was one of the MCs of the event, along with Oprah Winfrey. That is our update for now. That's the latest at this hour. Now stay tuned for Fox Newswatch with host Eric Burns. That's next here on Fox News.
On our program today, the usual panel, but a different tone and a different topic. On the panel, Jim Pinkerton of Newsday, Jeff Cohen, Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting, Jane Hall of the American University in Washington, D.C., and syndicated columnist Cal Thomas. I'm Eric Burns. Fox Newswatch is coming right up. All right, let's begin with a letter grade for the coverage of the past. It has now been 11 days. I realize that's a superficial way to start, Jeff, but then we'll get into detail. Overall, media coverage, what grade?
I'd say initially a B for compassion and caring, and then it sort of fell to, I'd say, a C- or D because of hysteria.
Jim?
A-, irony and cynicism crushed by earnestness and patriotism.
Cal?
I'd give them an A, their finest hour.
And Jane?
I'd say A-. I would have given them an A, but there's some things about the coverage going forward that disturbed me.
Well, then we should start with you and find out what those things are.
Well, I thought in the initial days that the media served almost a priestly role, and I use that advisedly. I mean, telling us something terrible had happened. A lot of people were watching television to be reassured that there still was a United States of America. People showed restraint. But recently, I think it's dipping into, you know, America's new war, Day 9, I think is pushing us towards action. And those are the kinds of things that worry me.
Let me stay with your initial point, Jane. I think in the early days, Cal, although we wanted information, I think we wanted something more than information